Starting, it was basically have the weapon systems, etc., like AD guns, SCGWs of the Air Force. Thereafter, I think, all the weapon systems, AD elements of Army, Navy were also incorporated. I think that's a huge task. This happened, I think, over a period of maybe a decade or so.
Absolutely. So I think this is like you would have seen in the present conflict, you would have heard quite a bit about Akash Tir. So Akash Tir of the army also does similar kind of function in a limited area of the TBA, what IACSS does for the entire country. Roughly, I mean, there are functionalities are a little different, but basically Akash Tir also does the same for the army weapons what IACSS does for the entire AD systems of the country, because IACSS is working 24 by 7 even in the peacetime as well. Akash Tir, on the other hand, is primarily meant for the wartime role because this function is not happening there in peacetime. But primarily, what Akash Tir also is doing is that you have all these weapon systems which are deployed. Army AD today is a very, very potent force. So they have missiles, they have guns. Now the counter US also, other systems have also now come into play. So basically, they are also integrating the radar picture of their own in their area of responsibility, providing that singular given JADC that I spoke of earlier. And JADC is integrated backwards with the IACCS. Exchange of Akash Tir and IACCS picture is not happening directly yet, but they are two systems which are working in coordination and in collaboration. Because, like I said, all your control orders, gun control orders, and all their other coordinating this thing are exchanged between JADC and IACCS. So the Akash Tir primarily does in enough tactical battle area coordinating of all their weapon systems based on the identification either they would have done or based on the identification passed on by the IACCS to them. Similar, this thing is done along with the Navy also. Then the IACCS also has these inputs coming from the civil radars, because we have a whole lot of civil radars which have got good coverage, and airspace of the entire country needs to be managed. Therefore, every resource has to get integrated. The inputs we are also getting from the civil radars. Point is that IACCS is a platform in which every single input can get integrated, and then it provides you like all the new systems that you have got S400 this thing. So all these radars of S400 or Akash or MRSAM or other things, so all these radars are also integrated to give you a much larger, much clearer picture. At any given time, your entire airspace is being scanned by multiple radars. Those radars could be airborne, those radars could be ground-based, those radars could be of missiles or also of guns, or they could be small radars like a triple LWR. But the most complex part of all this processing is something known as a multi-sensor tracking, the one which we struggled while we were developing the system. Because primarily what multi-sensor tracking does is when the same aircraft is being picked up by the multiple sensors, then how does it get depicted as a single on a IACSS display? So that is something which is a very, very complicated process on which we have really worked hard. So even if there is a failure of any mechanical or otherwise of any sensor, there are other sensors who are picking up. So at any given time, the entire airspace is being scanned by multiple sensors, and the picture is being presented after doing something known as a multi-sensor tracking. So it is being depicted like as if it is being picked up by one single radar or single entity.
Now, you brought out an important point where, incorporation of the civilian radars, the DGCA and other radars that we have. So I remember, during the Purnia arms drop, there was need felt to integrate the civil radars with the air defense radars, because I think that time there was some kind of the gaps were there. The entire country cannot be fully covered. At least at that time, we didn't have the capacity within the Air Force. And since it happened in the peacetime, of course, there were everything was not being scanned 24 by 7, every, I would say, geographic unit. So, do I understand that today this integration of the major civilian radars that we have with the air traffic systems, DGCA radars, is it complete?
Absolutely. This is talked about this Purulia drop and also this integration in my book. Of course, like you said, so we were trying for a very, very long time. And the integration of civil radar is a very interesting story. It happened accidentally. Architecture-wise, the civil radar's input was supposed to have come into the IACCS, but that did not happen for a variety of reasons. So, but we wanted that the radar picture of the civil radars should be received at the IACS nodes. And while we were just to integrating some of the systems of the FICs or the civil DGCA side, we were discussing that. I just happened to go to ECIL, and there they showed us the display of civil radars. Primarily, what they were doing is that all radars in their sector and other inputs, even including the VHF, HF, RT inputs, also converted into track, and it was being displayed as much as of almost around 5,000 kilometers. So I was shocked. I said, this is what is our need. Can you give it to us? So they said, Ki, sir, we can, but then you'll have to seek the permission from AI and
Protocols.
and a lot of protocols. So I came back straight away, wrote a concept paper on this that we want something like this from all the radars, civil radars, and their ranges are phenomenal. So this something known as CRDS, which is the Civil Radar Display System, and you'll be surprised that within less than a year, we had all these pictures in all the ICCS nodes, along with the identification. So whatever was being seen by the civil controller in the respective FIC centers, like major, they are primarily doing of the area, they were getting that pickup of all those radars, integrating into one and giving a singular system. And now we got that transported straight into the IACS ops rooms, something that we were wanting to look for solution for a very, very long time. Just happened accidentally, and thereafter all this was available with us.
I think that's a great, very big achievement. I'm sure we have been seeing this, the need for this during various exercises or other times. Wonderful if it has been accomplished.
And best
Okay,
part was that we did that under the IACCS project. While it was a project by itself, but then
yeah.
since we already had this thing, so we did this under IACCS because we said this is the felt need and this is the requirement of the IACCS. So that's how we managed to get that implemented pretty fast.
Okay, Mshl, Rana, now you have mentioned in your book, the various chapters, some of the important ones that I gone through and which are interesting is, pockets of severe turbulence. This is one chapter that you're talking about, the roving eye. Could you just elaborate a little bit with one odd example?
Yeah, pockets of severe turbulences. Primarily, I wrote this because not very many people know that the air defense happen 24 by 7, and there are a lot of incidents that keep happening. Primarily, from the air defense point of view, there have been issues where we were not at war, but we were not at peace either. Why this? Because I have covered other in the war. I've covered about 65, 71, Kargil, all that in the Indian wars. But there are so many things that have happened which are of great significance and consequences, which were not during war. One example I'll tell you, like we shot down Atlantic. Okay, the Pakistani Atlantic, and we were at peace. I mean, immediately after the Kargil war, this had happened, and this aircraft which is straight into our territory, and we shot it. So it was of a great significance and great consequence. But it is not part of the war, so therefore it is not part of any history either. So likewise, and you talked about the Purulia arms drop. Purulia arms drop, half of the people would not even know that such thing happened, but it was of great significance from the air defense point of view, and it was a severe turbulence for our system, so to say, and that's why I said pockets of severe turbulences. Then there was Op Prakram. We were almost at war, but we were not at war. Similarly, there was another thing, exercise live wire around 88, 89, where again, like Parakram, we were face to face. We were deployed in the fields for a very, very long time. We lost a lot of equipment. Parakram, we lost a lot of equipment, a lot of our own soldiers and air warriors. But we did not fight a war. So all these things that were there, all these kind of incidents. Then there is an incident of CM of Gujarat because of the misidentification getting shot down in 65 war. So all these things that primarily I covered from that how the identification or misidentification can cause these collateral damages of this kind. So likewise, there are quite a few incidents that I have covered in this book, which are not otherwise part of the warfare, but they were of great significance.